Yes, indeed. Those bananas are ripe and ready to eat. We're going to be eating some bananas today. Well, good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Build day 54. I'm going to say build day 54 on the construction schedule of the swimming pool in the backyard of Villa Feliz. 54 days of building. Wow, we're getting close to that 2-month mark. But we only have a few more days left, and we're pretty much done. Exciting day today. We are doing something new, and we'll talk about that in just a minute as we get into the pool built this morning. Now let's go ahead and get today started. And without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Now, even though we're still in the tiling and the application of the installation of the araal stone, which is mainly back in the area for the sidewalk on this side of the swimming pool, a new thing that we're doing today, which I spoke about briefly in the opening, is this right here. We're going into the grouting. We are into the grouting phase. That's exciting because normally grouting is one of the last things that you do, but we still have to do some of the floor inside here, the floor which is going to be the crushed coral white sandy beach type of a look right here, and we only have just a little bit more, just a very little bit of the flooring that has to be done in the 4-foot section for the tile. Before our tile worker over here, our foreman Obeng, before he gets to the very end, we also have some edge tile that will need to go right around here, around the edge, and that's inside the box. Remember, we picked that up a couple of weeks ago from Wilcon. You can also see over here the hard work that the guys did yesterday for the little sidewalk, the araal stone sidewalk that separates the raised bed garden from the swimming pool. They got all of this accomplished yesterday as well. Still a little filling needs to be done, sort of like the grouting in between the araal stone, but they will catch up with all that in just a little bit and do some cleanup of some of the spillage of the Portland cement mix. Also, I want to show you something here. You can see inside the wall here, we have some loose stones. We left some of the main stones right here a little loose so that we have access to our junction box. This will help us in the event that we ever need to do any rewiring, which is what the junction boxes are really for. So we have them in 3 locations that I know of right now around the swimming pool that will make it easier later on in the event we ever have to do any troubleshooting. And also, you can see down here, this right here is the rebar, or what they call the biga, that is connected to all of the skeleton, every bit of the skeleton for the swimming pool. There is a copper ground clamp that's on here that's hooked to a copper cable, which will tie in the skeleton, all the rebar, the ladder over here, and eventually, once we install the pump inside the waterfall area here, everything will be tied to a common ground rod that goes into the ground to prevent any type of an electrical shock that could possibly happen from seepage if there's an electrical short. So something I noticed the foreman was working on this morning is cleaning up, doing some grinding, getting down to the concrete nice and clean in this section right here, because this is the section that our tiles, you see inside this box right here, our tiles will be going in this area right here. So what the foreman is going to do, he will match up the edge of the outside, or the center, actually the center here, to the furthest portion of the tile that it's going to be overlapping. Then there'll be some slight grinding that's going to be done on these, and we'll shape it for all the curved areas right here. Some of the areas like here, which are straight, might not require any modification to the edge of the tile. So that's what he's going to do next. He has to do this before he is allowed to continue bringing the rest of the floor tile to this point right here. Then he can match up everything and do the cutting of our floor tile to meet up with the floor edging. Now this is a result of after the acid wash yesterday. The tile is actually looking really good. It's got just a little bit of dust on it, but that's from some of the grinding that's being done. It was done yesterday in the afternoon and this morning that they're doing a little bit of grinding for the work that they've already started here. And before we go into time-lapse video of some of the work that's going to be done this morning, let's touch briefly on the topic of grout. Now grout, there's a technique to applying grout. And sometimes what I find in the Philippines and even in other places around the world, even in the United States, sometimes there's a tendency to over-grout. So what I did is I talked with the foreman and the contractor yesterday to make sure when they do the cleaning of the grout, basically the application process is you take a applicator, maybe a plastic little wedge, and then you mix up some grouting compound, which is basically something like Portland cement consistency. You just add a little bit of water, which is what they have inside there. When you mix the two together, it becomes a paste. And then the paste, you just use the plastic applicator and you push in between all the lines inside the grout. And what that does, that seals, and it also provides a little bit of waterproofing between the tile and the background, which is the concrete. Well, anyway, when you apply it, sometimes if you over apply grout, the grout will actually go over some of the really nice details that they have in the tile itself, which is the edge. You see how it is colored to a darker color right here? If you put too much grout on here, like you can see right here, you cannot see any of the little darkness. But that's okay at this stage right here, because the next step is going to be using a sponge, the sponge to wipe off the grout. Normally the process is you take a sponge and you go in a diagonal way, not up and down or left and right, vertical or horizontal, because it pulls out too much of the grout in between the grout lines inside here. What I asked the foreman to make sure he gets across to his workers is that when they do the cleaning, we have only the grout that goes in between and not covering up the nice fine detail, which is what makes these type of tiles separate from other type of tiles that you would have. And that's what makes mosaic tiles so very nice. So that's what they'll be doing later on. You'll let this dry just a little bit. As it dries, you slowly remove layer after layer of the grout on there, and you should only see what's in between, right inside the little grout line in between the tiles. So if you're doing any kind of tile project that requires you cut tiles to match and curve around, you realize that tiles are square. They will all come in a square configuration. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that you have the right amount of cut so that they match up to go around the radius, the edge of your floor. So what you would normally do in any case, whether you're doing floor tiles inside the house, that maybe you do inside a bathroom and a comfort room, or whether you're doing it in a swimming pool, the proper way of doing it is you do one tile at a time. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you have the same amount of cut on adjacent tiles. So like what Obeng is doing right here, we measure in between these two tiles. We will divide that in half, and we will use the half cut measurement down here so that when we put them together and do the cut on both sides, they will match up just like this right here. So we're almost done with the cutting. we only have a couple of pieces, and these are the complex cuts. That's this cut on this end and this cut for the end, the two end tiles that will go here. Now doing the straight cuts are very easy when you have something like a tile saw like we have up here. It's very quick, it's very fast, and you can get very accurate cuts. You can see we have the perfect amount of grout line established for each one of these. Now I got to tell you, I didn't realize this when I was picking out this tile here. I knew this was the color tile from the selection at Wilcon that we wanted to use here, mainly because all the other colors were unacceptable, but I did not realize how lucky I got picking out this tile selection, because once this is clean, once the araal is clean, this non-slip tile here will blend very well. Well, you can see better here, this is a little bit more clean, with the color of the araal stone on there. They're going to be very complementary, very natural looking with each other. So I think we made a really good, wise choice. Now I'm going to go inside and take my break here in just a minute too, because I actually spent a little time working this morning, and I can't tell you how much I'm having fun here. This is something you know from all of the projects that we have around Feliz. I really enjoy doing. I really like getting my hands dirty working with the crew, and I appreciate that they allowed me to work with them a little bit this morning here. Now this brings on another point for this particular pool team, this pool company. They are open to suggestions. I mentioned that in an earlier video. Even if they haven't done something before and it's completely alien to maybe some of the building techniques that they've used in the past, they listen, they look, and if they see it's something that will work, they accept and they grasp the concept. So if you choose these guys to build your swimming pool, I'm sure they'll be using some of the techniques learned on this pool build with some upcoming builds. So now, as a precautionary measure, I use the grinder with the buffing wheel, and I use just a couple of different type of grits. I use the 50 and I believe it was the 150, and that's enough because we want to make sure it maintains a little bit of roughness for non-slip characteristic. So all of the tiles are now ready for Obeng to do. You can see we have a slight, very soft area. So when they put the grout in between it, you'll see just a little bit of a lip right here between. It'll be a nice clean installation between each one of the non-slip tiles here. And there, no little feet can get cut or by anything sharp on the edges. So this is ready to go. That tile saw really came in handy today. Well, it is the end of today's episode. I am going to do a wrap up. Oh, and by the way, it is build day 53. It's not build day 54. I just realized that. The days go by so fast. And sometimes I get a little confused. Well, anyway, let's go inside the swimming pool. Let's look where all the action happened today. And a lot of action did happen. So a good deal of effort today went into this area in the 4-foot section where it drops down into the 5-foot section right here. And I got to tell you, I am really happy with this edge protection right here. And I think it's going to be really good for someone who is in this area right here, especially children or something, and they have the bigger sign that they are getting ready to drop down from here into this section right here. So this is very good. And the cuts went perfect. You got to look at this. We got to look at how nice and clean this was installed here. Also, Obeng is just about to finish up. I think he's on the very last piece right there that will complete 100% of the flooring tile. Just the tile installation on the 4-foot section right here. We still have to do cleanup. We still have to do the grouting on both sides here. But this is complete for that stage, so we can move on to something new tomorrow. Now, speaking of grout, you can see lots of grouting got done today. Look at the grout. It's almost like it's gray. Well, it definitely is gray. And this is the color that I wanted because I wanted this to match up with this over here. And once everything dries, it'll be close. It'll be very close to each other. So I wanted this to blend. I want everything to kind of blend as far as the background things that you really shouldn't be noticing so much. So you can see all the grouting was done up to, let's see, I think we got right up to this section right here. You can see they will have to continue this on tomorrow. Tomorrow will probably be the next day that they'll complete that out right there. They will probably do an acid wash of this area right here and start doing the grouting of the 4-foot section. Now we also have a little bit more of the little border to the pool, the little sidewalk area where we'll step on before we go inside. Maybe we could set up a little chair. It's not a really big area, but I think it's big enough we could probably set a chair. And this will be really nice right next to all the bamboo and the plants back over in this area. And this is where the big boys will get into the swimming pool from the 3-step ladder on this side to go into the 5-foot section of the swimming pool. Something I forgot to mention while I was inside the pool is they poured the remainder of the concrete for the slab that goes in the 10-inch section of the swimming pool over here. They will allow this to cure a little bit, and then they'll add the remainder of the tiles that bring it up to the top. And then once they get that done, the next step is going to be starting to work on the layer of the pebble rock that they're going to be using here, which is like that crushed coral like I talked about earlier, plus the little non-slip tile that goes across this area and across this area here. Now the non-slip tiles that we're going to be using from this section and this section, basically this little area right here and this area right here, they're smaller. The depth of the non-slip ties are about like this. We talked about that earlier. It's not like the big ones we put in the deep section, because the deep section, since you're in 4 foot of water, you need a bigger visual sight when you step down. Here you won't need that because we only have 5 inches and we only have 10 inches of water at this point right here. Well, that's about it for today. Day 53. Yes, day 53 on the construction schedule back here for this pool build. 53 days. Only a few more days left. I think what you're going to see, I think it's going to look like we are going to be moving at the speed of light here very soon, because that's the hard part, the part that they just completed. Putting the pebble rock down. The pebble rock is very fast. They have to do some electrical, install some of the stuff inside the life support system. I brought it up the other day, the things that are left over. Not many more things. So it's going to be interesting to watch the final touches occur on the swimming pool. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on the little My PI Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You'll be subscribed and notified next time I upload a new video. So until such time, from right here in the Philippines, you have a wonderful and blessed day. if you enjoyed today's episode and you would like to see more just like these, just click on one of the helpful links over to your right and you might be able to pick up on some good information on DIY projects, how to, or if you are interested in moving to the Philippines and building, you'll find answers there as well.